Hi, my name is Emma Yoakum and this is Remade by Emma. Welcome to my channel where I knit, sew, and DIY, often using secondhand materials. Today I am starting a new series that I am calling Making Instead of Buying. As the new year started, I sat down with my husband and we were talking about some of our goals for the new year, and they very much involved saving money. We'd love to buy a family car. We'd love to start saving for a house someday. We just really want to work on saving money this year. As a very creative person, I feel very blessed to have the talents that I have to sew and knit and create with my hands. So I would like to use those skills to assist in our goal of saving money this year. So that's why I'm calling this series Making Instead of Buying, and I would like to visit lots of different areas with this topic. But today we are working on something for my daughter, which is why I'm currently in her nursery today. I have a rapidly growing 4-month-old baby girl. She is growing so fast that she's 4 months, almost 4 months, and she's already in 9-month-old clothing. She's just growing so fast. As a new mom, I never expected how fast babies grow in like the first year, and I really didn't realize how much clothing she was going to need in this very first year. So basically, she just sized up, and I'm finding myself a little unprepared. I don't have all of the clothes that she needs for this new size, but baby clothes are expensive, surprisingly. For example, some of the sleepers that she wears, like her pajamas, are $12 per pair, and those are like the cheap ones, which is crazy. It's really like an arm and a leg to dress a child. So in this Making Instead of Buying episode 1, I am going to be making a wardrobe for my child, or a partial wardrobe. I'm just adding to it. And truthfully, this is not a tutorial. This is just to inspire you. But I just kind of wanted to run you through my process of making instead of buying, and just finding ways to be a little creative with what you already have on hand so that you don't have to buy more stuff. Because I'm sure we all experience this. Money gets tight sometimes, and it's just nice to know that you have other options, especially if you're a creative like I am. Okay, so let's jump into this. When approaching this thing that I would be buying but I'm trying to make, I need to first figure out what it is that we need. On my phone, I have a running checklist of all of my baby's clothing needs and wants, because they're not all needs, and in the different sizes. So for example, this is our 9-month. I have it separated into different categories. So sleepers, onesies, sweaters, cute outfit, church outfit, socks and pants. And then I just kind of mark down what it is that she does and doesn't have on this list. And then now I'm just figuring out what she still needs. I have that she still needs some long sleeve onesies. She needs a sweater. She needs a couple pair of pants and maybe like a cute outfit. Now, knowing what it is I need, I now am going to go through what materials I already have on hand. For example, what I already have on hand is fabrics or bed sheets or old clothes that I can scrap and make into clothes for my daughter. Other items that you need to sew or knit or crochet clothes are patterns a lot of the times, unless you're good enough to self-draft, which some of these items I'm making for my daughter will be self-drafted, but some of them I'm also going to follow patterns. but I'm not going to buy any new patterns. I am going to use the ones that I already have on hand, but there's also loads and loads of free patterns online. So you can find free knitting patterns, free crochet patterns, free sewing patterns. One of my favorite resources for free knitting and crochet patterns is Ravelry. And if you're a knitter or crocheter, you're probably pretty familiar with this site. But you have an option to filter to all free patterns, and there are so many on there, so definitely take advantage of that. But also, one of my favorite sites to find free patterns on is Pinterest. I have found so many knitting, crochet, sewing patterns. One other resource I would say is YouTube. There are a lot of creators who have made videos purely compiling free patterns that you can find, and they usually have them linked in their descriptions. So that's another really great resource for finding free patterns. Obviously, if you have the money, you can buy a pattern, but personally, I'm really trying to save as much money as possible. So I'm going to be self-drafting some of these items and also using patterns that I already have in my pattern library. Lastly, you'll want to just see what other notions you have that you need, like buttons or elastic. I love salvaging buttons from things that I thrift. If they're kind of worn down and probably just need to be thrown away, I will take the buttons off first and keep them in a little button tin that I have. And it's just really handy for when I randomly need a couple of buttons. I just look in there and I find them. If you knit and crochet, you might also have some yarn on hand. I have a little stash of yarn, and if you're making clothes for kids, they don't take much yarn to make clothes. For me, this is a tiny little skein of some wool that I got at a thrift store for $1. And then this is a little cake of reclaimed yarn from a cotton sweater that I thrifted a long time ago. Something that my daughter also needs is another sweater because she is about to grow out of hers. So that's what I'm working on right now, is just the start of a new little sweater for her. This is based off of a free pattern that I found. I just changed it up a little bit. The original pattern had some little textured stitches on it and it was a little bit smaller, so I just added some to the stitch counts. I'm gonna make it a little bit longer, do more increases and stuff like that, and she will have a bigger sweater. And this is just a great example of just pulling stuff out that I already had. I would never think to hold cotton and wool yarn together, but it works out really good. It's really beautiful, and that's just an example of just getting creative with the things that you already have on hand. Okay, so next you need to find some inspiration. How can you use your talents and your materials to make the things that you now need? So like I said earlier, my daughter needs 4 shirts or tops, 3 pants, and a dressy outfit. But how can I optimize my time to make things that fit all of those categories? I found some inspiration for a little romper on Pinterest. I will put a picture up that fills both of these needs, a pair of pants and a top, and it just equals one outfit. And this just makes things a little more simple for me to only need to sew and cut one item, and I have a perfect material for this. Another example of something that will optimize your creative making time, I found these cute little overalls that are adjustable because they have adjustable straps. They have 2 buttons on them instead of just one, and they're longer straps, and they're also rolled up, which is also another way of just kind of adjusting the size of an item So when she's little, I can make it a little oversized, and it can have the longer straps, cuffed pants. But once she's growing into it, I can unroll the pants, adjust the strap to be longer, and it can continue fitting her for another size up, which is really nice. That's kind of my inspiration for this project. I don't really have all the time in the world to finish all of those items yet, but I will be working on those in the next couple of days, and if you're interested in seeing what I end up finishing, go ahead and subscribe to my channel so that you can see my next knitting podcast where I show all of my finished objects. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it just gave you a little bit of inspiration on how you can make instead of buy things. Obviously, I used this video to show that something I'm working on is making my daughter some clothes instead of buying them for her. But you can use this concept for so many different things. And I have other ideas that I will eventually film for other videos, but really, like, if you have a need, you have to buy some of those things. But every now and then, if you think about it, and think about how you can use your talents and resources you already have on hand, you can create something that fills that need, which is really special. So yeah, I hope this inspired you. Let me know your thoughts on this topic down below, and if you're interested in seeing any specific making instead of buying videos, I would love to hear your insight. Go ahead and give my video a thumbs up, and again, subscribe if you haven't already so that you can see more of my videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.